Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes, I'm here a few minutes late, and well, here in the ordinary, in the office, in the regular location. Welcome everybody to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. Last night was epic. A little bit of a late start because of last night. Last night, if you hadn't seen, we did a dinner and a board game, Hero Quest, Barbarian Quest Pack number 2. And that quest pack is rough. I mean, that is an intense quest pack. So I won't let you know what happened. But if you haven't and you want to see some live play, we were here last night. See, we've been playing at 6:30 p.m. on Fridays. We're going to do it again this Friday. Good morning, Zero Theory. Good morning. So I didn't get to bed until after midnight last night. That's what happens when we're playing those games. So yeah, got to wake up and get here for the morning grind. And I was actually thinking that I was going to have some family stuff to do today, but we're just going for lunch instead. So I'm going to shower and then get out of here after probably a little bit of a shorter morning grind. We've got two topics that I really want to be sure to cover in detail on the morning grind. We've got the second edition Knave, because we went over the first edition Knave, the first edition of Knave a few weeks ago. And we had things to talk about regarding it. But in general, I liked it. And of course, Knave 2 is on Kickstarter now. But I don't want to do that this morning because, like I said, it may be a little bit shorter. And maybe a little bit shorter today anyway. And I want to be sure that I'm at the top of my game, not coming off of the late night show. And then also I want to look at GURPS Realm Management. And yes, that's actually a title. I thought that was a joke in the beginning because that just seems like something that GURPS would have. So GURPS Realm Management, because that's part of our looking at how to run domain level games. We looked at mass combat for GURPS and we were like, now there's something missing here. Well, don't worry. It looks like they've got it covered. But I want to be sure that I'm on the top of my game for both of those. So maybe Knave tomorrow, then Realm Management later. We will just see. But I thought that since this was kind of, since this is probably going to be a little bit of an abbreviated morning grind and a little bit abbreviated and is coming off the late night, what's something that we could talk about that I want to take a look at, but probably won't take a whole lot of brain power. And so I realized that, oh yeah, well, Kobold Press has put out this Playtest 3 packet here. And so, well, I'll just go ahead and take a look at that and see what it's all about. We'll talk about how we feel about that in just a moment. But here we got the drink, your favorite drink this morning. Let's do 2 deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. I just had to pour some Mountain Dew Zero to get started today. So that's what I've got. So here we go. Deep breaths. All right. That's a good way to get started. I guess I should throw out some links here. If you are here and you'd like to be part of the Ravenkeep Discord server, or you find us, good morning, Andrew. Good to see you. And then also this afternoon and this evening when I get back, I've got to finish working on the Kickstarter graphics for Goodnight Sword. Goodnight Sword is my children's book that is obviously based on Goodnight Moon, but this is the medieval fantasy version of Goodnight Moon. This is exactly what, if you've got a younger child, younger niece, nephew, even younger cousin or friend's child who you want to get into the fantasy theme, we put together Goodnight Sword, and we're going to bring that to Kickstarter for the hardback book. So that's coming up soon. Also, I did notice, I tried a brief experiment. I'm trying an experiment here, and I've got another video to post today, because sometimes I do want to talk about things that are more serious in nature, things like AI, society, and technology, and things like that, because I read, the news and things like that in that area as well. And I had the idea that, maybe sometimes I should turn on the camera and record the discussions or thoughts about different things that are happening currently in AI and technology. So I did just post. So I started another channel because I can't put that on this channel because this is the Geekverse. This is for games and stuff like that. But if you're interested in AI, technology, and society, I created a YouTube channel over there at the link I just put in. And I have a video on AI and the regulations that Congress is thinking about putting on as far as political advertising goes. And I've got a video to post also about AI and social media. So if you're interested in other more, let's say pressing topics other than gaming, gaming is good for the morning. But over there, thank you. Andrew says subbed. So if you're interested, we're just going to see how that goes. Rather than just sitting here, I said, well, I might as well turn on the camera. So we will see. That's just a test. All right, let's take a look at this core fantasy role-playing here. And I still don't really know how I feel about this because, we looked at the first playtest pack. I was kind of, I was surprised when I saw it. So originally, I suppose, for the first time that came out, I was like, okay, well, Kobold Press is doing something here. That was back when they were just calling it Black Flag. Now, core fantasy appears to be the name of the rules here. that you can license. And now they're calling like the whole role-playing game Tales of the Valiant or something like that. So I was like, oh, originally it was like, okay, what's Project Black Flag? I wonder if they could probably do something really neat here. Then we found out that it is 5th edition based. Now, in retrospect, I guess that makes sense because everybody was like, well, what is it that Kobold Press is going to do? I guess that 5th edition based makes sense because they have so much material that is already 5th edition based. I mean, there's a lot of the Midgard campaign setting and a whole bunch of stuff that is already 5th edition based. So actually, it makes sense for them to say, hey, wait a minute, let's make sure that all of the material that we've got, that we have a role-playing game that is what everybody else is already playing with our material and can support our material. So I guess in retrospect, that makes complete sense. So that does leave an opening for someone like Mark Tassin, who's been working on the Cool Name RPG. And last night he had another video development vlog, and I've really been enjoying his take on game development. So obviously I was playing the game last night, but maybe tonight when I'm working on the Kickstarter graphics again, I will listen to what Mark has to say about games. Game design, because he's got he's addressing it all very well. So that leaves open something like Cool Name, which is doing something very different. But it also makes me go, okay, so what exactly is going to make this unique? What exactly is going to make what Kobold Press is doing stand out? Because it does surprise me. I've said before, it surprises me that the advanced Fit 5e or level up, and we went through that. It surprises me that I don't see that used more, because that's already established. That's already out there. There must be some explanation. Why doesn't that get a lot more attention? Because if you're looking at playing 5th edition without playing 5th edition, or you know, that's extended, well, the level up RPG by N-World is already out there, and it's got all kinds of books and things like that. And we looked at it. We haven't been covering whatever changes are going on with 1D&D. I don't plan on doing that. But you've got the 1D&D revision of 5e. You've got the advanced 5e revision of 5e. And then you've got this revision of 5e. Now, plus there are a whole bunch of other smaller ones that we said basically, and I think it was a good way to describe that, was they basically amounted to like house rules for 5e. So there are also all kinds of smaller variants of 5e. Yeah, so that makes sense. But now, so, and I did see some people had commented on other parts of the YouTube channel, on other videos on the YouTube channel, were saying, well, this is the way to keep playing Dungeons and Dragons like I've been playing it for decades without having to play 1D&D. This is what I like. This is what I know. This is Dungeons and Dragons. So I can keep going with it. So that's why they're involved in what's going on with Kobold Press. I don't know. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting excited about it. After the first playtest packet, I was like, all right, we did do the second playtest packet, and I was a little bit more enthusiastic after we went through the playtest packet number 2. But still, there's just so many different things out there, as we've determined by going through all of this on the morning grind. There's so many other games to use. Do I need? I mean, if I'm playing Kobold Press's stuff, then it makes total sense. If I'm starting with something else, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And like I said, there's so many different variations. I guess eventually we're just gonna have to see which one really emerges as far as some reasonable amount of market share. So I also don't think this one will take too long to go through, because this one is primarily just monsters. So this is like their monster packet. Each monster in the core fantasy role-playing game is described with lore, background, and game rules at the table. So it says monsters in this packet are slightly more challenging than standard 5e monsters, but we also know that the Black Flag characters are a little bit more powerful than basic first level 5e characters. So, like I said, this may not even change all that much. So elements of a stat block. We've got name, size, type, So what types of different creatures do we have? Types are aberrations. So it says a creature's type is fundamental to its nature. Certain spells, magic items, class features, and other effects interact in special ways with creatures of a particular type. For example, an arrow of dragon slaying deals extra damage to dragons and also other creatures of that type, such as dragon, turtles, and wyverns. Aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giants, humanoids, monstrosities, oozes. Modifying creatures. The monsters in this book are versatile, but the perfect creature for part of an adventure you run might not exist yet. Feel free to tweak an existing creature to make it more useful. You can borrow a trait or two from different monsters or use variants or a template. Keep in mind that modifying the monster might change its challenge rating and CR. Oh, we also have plants and undead. You know, GURPS. I've been thinking a lot about GURPS ever since going back to it for the mass combat and why I enjoyed it so much. Some of these, GURPS has something called meta traits for something like body of plant and undead or elemental, which is probably how I would go. I like using meta traits. So types may be some things like meta traits, celestials. In effect, they're kind of like aspects that mean certain things. Zero Theory says, right, I hear you. I'm hoping the real changes will be in character classes or development. However, that's just the same as then I'm asking what's new and cool. Yeah. And there were some changes. I mean, they've put out some changes in character classes. What was that? That was during Playtest Packet 1 and 2. I'm having trouble remembering exactly. But I mean, I remember we went over some things. Actually, I'm having a little bit of difficulty remembering exactly what were changes from 1D&D. Because I remember like a long time ago, we did look at the very first 1D&D released Playtest Packet. That was long before the OGL debacle. That was probably back in December, or it might have been earlier than that. I don't remember. And I remember, okay, there were some alterations of the cleric specifically that we were looking at. And I remember because I play clerics quite a bit. So I was just seeing what was happening there and what type of design change philosophy they were using. But I think that was 1D&D, and that wasn't what was going on with Kobold Press. So I'm just having trouble even remembering exactly what's new and cool and what they put out and what's changing. Like, other than I remember you get a feat at first level. That's one of the things that makes you more powerful. Hey, Stray. Good to see you. Good morning. Glad to have you here. So meta traits, I would use something like meta traits and tags if creating an RPG. Tags. Now, tags may have monsters may have a further tag that specifies their creature type. If a monster has a tag that further specify their creature type, if a monster has a tag, it appears as part of the stat block in parentheses right after size and shape. Tags indicate creatures that can be targeted by specific spells, magic items, and other features available to PCs. Core tags include angel, animal, animated, chaotic. Now, we did look at this briefly because it seems like it seems like a lot of different games are moving away from alignment. It seems like, or I don't know if a lot, but two major ones at least are now moving away from alignment because that's what Pathfinder second edition remastered. That's what was being discussed. That, okay, we're going to move away from just having alignment and toward having tags. Like, what do you do with a creature that's supposed to be evil or that's supposed to be affected by protection from evil or banishment of evil or something like that? Protection from evil, detect evil. Well, we could do that just by tagging them as evil rather than having to go through alignment. And it seemed like some of that was being removed from the Pathfinder remastered on the basis of the change of the OGL. Now, of course, I think so. This should be released under Orc, right? I believe that the plan is for Kobold Press to release this under Orc. And of course, the Pathfinder remastered is going to be released under Orc. Oh, hey, Sable Phoenix. Good morning. So, well, if that's true, if that's the reason that got changed, then maybe because of the orc and trying to move away from anything that is drawing from anything. Well, this does say that it's based on material. That this one, I'm all over the place. This one does say that it's based on material from Wizards of the Coast. So yeah, I think that this is probably not going to be in the Pathfinder remastered, but alignment would be in there. It just seems like, okay, so both of them hit upon the idea, though, that, hey, let's just tag something chaotic or tag something evil rather than using alignment. So that's two major publishers that are going that way. Zero Theory says, I scrubbed alignment from Pathfinder's 1E campaign years ago. It was not easy because classes like Paladins rely heavily on detecting evil and such. It was quite a table rule overhaul. Yeah, well, whether you're trying, so it looks like they're not trying in this case to remove something that's evil, but they are specifically trying to remove alignment because it can be tagged evil, a creature bound to the forces of evil, which sounds like what Pathfinder is doing. Sable Phoenix says, I hate that everyone's abandoning alignment. Their objective good and evil in the universe and the desire to erase that from D&D is just a symptom of trying to erase that from Western civilization. But that's a larger socio-political discussion. And that is actually exactly the discussion that I had with Cameron Pasha. If you look up Cameron Pasha on this channel, you'll see several different videos with him in it. And I had a discussion about good and evil and storytelling. And I've also got a history of the orcish development, orcish development from a gaming perspective, from a fantasy and gaming perspective, where I'm talking about exactly those things. So here, it may not exactly be trying to remove evil, because like I said, it could still be tagged evil. So maybe the alignment system itself, people are getting away from it. Like, so for instance, lawful is still here. Other tags include outsider, shadow, shape changer. Okay, armor class. So Sable Phoenix says, from a perspective, you couldn't have Planescape without alignment. Planescape does seem to have, well, it does, yeah, deeply have alignment in it. Zero Theory says, I think it's easy to have good and evil in a game without codifying it mechanics. Plenty of other games have done this without issue. And the Book of Vile Darkness we went over talked about that. Brett says, off subject, nice work barely staying alive last night. Finished the video late last night. Yes, it was epic. If you're interested in actual play and you weren't there, we had a great time last night. Watch that one on replay. Watch that one on replay. That quest was insane. So we have hit points, of course, an armor class, speed. If there are multiple ways for it to move, it can have a burrow, climb, fly, or swim speed. GM wisdom. Unlike most creatures, monsters with a swim speed don't make melee attacks at disadvantage while underwater. For more information about underwater combat, see the SRD. Stealth. The stealth value shows how readily a monster evades notice, either to sneak around or to stage a surprise attack. Stealth is calculated using a creature's dex and size. Smaller monsters are harder to spot. Oh, how well it evades notice of like the PCs. The PCs searching for unseen foes must make a wisdom perception check. If the result is equal to or higher than the monster's stealth score, the PC succeeds and detects signs of the monster. If it's lower, the PC fails and the monster remains undetected. For instance, a goblin has a stealth value of 15. A PC must roll a 15 or better on a wisdom perception check to detect the goblin while it's trying to hide. Ability modifiers. All of the monsters have the ability modifiers. Let's see. More importantly, the GM uses them whenever a monster must make a save or an ability check. So behind the curtains, ability scores and monster stat blocks have changed in this document compared to 5e. We've streamlined abilities modifier presentation so GMs can more quickly access what they need. Ability modifiers now have multiple uses, eliminating the redundancy of separate numbers for saves and skills. So ability modifiers now have multiple uses, eliminating the redundancy of separate numbers for saves and skills. Okay. The intent is to make key information easier to find and to provide creative flexibility in running a monster. Use the feedback form to let us know how this works for you and how you use it. Okay, monsters have a proficiency bonus, abbreviated PB. Proficiency bonuses determines pre-calculated parts of the stat block like attack bonus. More importantly, the GM uses it whenever a monster must make a d20 roll to try to do something it is specifically good at. Add the PB and a relevant modifier. With no relevant modifier, then roll the d20 and add the proficiency bonus. Proficiency bonus by challenge rating. Okay, so challenge rating, proficiency bonus. Wait, what? Proficiency bonus by challenge rating. CR 0, 0 or 10. What is this telling me? One 8 is PB 25. CR 30. Wait, something is wrong there. A monster's challenge rating determines their PB, as shown in the proficiency bonus by challenge rating table. Proficiency bonus by challenge rating. This predetermines, this looks like something is wrong there. Last night was indeed epic. After seeing OSR games using a different stat than Dex for ranged attacks, like Knave using Wisdom for it, I can endorse a system that is many things into Dex. Sable Phoenix says, after seeing OSR games using a different stat than Dex for ranged attacks, like Knave 2E using Wisdom for it, I can't endorse a system that still puts many things like Dex as 5E into Dex, or 5E in general. Yeah, it does use a lot. And it seems like some of the other OSR games have deliberately been trying to mix that up. My issue is that like GURPS uses just 4 different stats, and some of them are just more important than others. But it takes that into consideration by having a point value assigned to each one of them, because you're building characters by points. Which you're not doing here. I don't know what's going on with this proficiency bonus. I think that must be some kind of error. Why would a CR1 creature have a... I wonder if this is supposed to be XP or something. I wonder if accidentally the XP table got set over here. So immune, resistant, and vulnerable. A monster that's immune to a kind of damage does not lose hit points from that kind of attack. Kinds of damage include acid, bludgeoning, cold, fire, force, lightning, necrotic, poisoning, piercing, poisoning, radiant, slashing, thunder, and void. A monster that's immune to a condition automatically succeeds or saves to avoid the condition or otherwise can't be affected by it. Yeah, Zero says, yeah, Dex has always been one of the OP stats. But, in its defense, how you're able to move your body is really important in the physical world. Yeah, I think it is XP. But that's really important. So I can understand why a lot of stuff is based on Dex. But I think the problem, so one of the things that I would probably do is there have been attempts to remove things from like manual agility, manual dexterity to agility, and kind of divide that up in different ways that I've seen. So that's one option, but I don't think that's obviously not the way that a lot of these D&D games go. So resistant monsters that are resistant to certain kinds of damage take only half damage rounded down from attacks of that kind. We talked about appreciating having monsters be able to be resistant at different levels to different types, because right now there's just immune, resistant, and that's half. Third edition was more flexible there. Vulnerable monsters if they take a certain kind of damage, double the damage from that attack. A monster that's vulnerable to a condition has disadvantage on saves made to avoid becoming affected by it. So behind the curtain, the presentation of immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities is altered from the way that appears in 5e. There are no longer multiple lines that separate out damage and conditions. For example, in core fantasy role-playing rules, if a creature is immune to fire damage and the charmed condition both appear on the immune line. This streamlines the information contained on stat blocks. Kinds of damages are listed first in alphabetical order, followed by conditions. If both are present, they're separated by a semicolon. Let us know in playtest feedback whether this works for you. Senses. Monsters usually have secondary senses of hearing, smell, or touch. A monster with keen senses can precisely perceive its surroundings using some other sense than vision. Creatures without vision, such as a gelatinous cube, Morlocks, typically have this sense, as do creatures with echolocation or an extrasensory sense of smell, such as bats, wolves, or true dragons. Night vision. The monster can see in non-magical darkness. In shades of gray. We're not doing infravision here. Tremor sense. A monster with tremor sense can detect and pinpoint the location of vibrations if it and the source are in contact with the same ground or substance. Tremor sense can't detect incorporeal creatures. True sight. Excuse me. True sight. True sight. A monster with true sight can see clearly in normal and magical darkness as individual creatures and objects automatically detect and succeed on saves against visual illusions. Perception. Calculated using wisdom. GM wisdom. Monster vision allows the same rules as PC vision. Assuming there are no obstacles or adequate bright light like sunlight, a creature can see about 2 miles in any direction or until the landscape or other obstruction blocks its view. Rain typically reduces maximum visibility to 1 mile, and foggy conditions can cut visibility down to 300 feet or less. Good grief. GM wisdom. In core fantasy role-playing rules, a PC with the invisible condition has advantages on dex stealth checks made to hide from or sneak past a monster that relies on sight-based senses like vision or night vision. Keep in mind that invisibility doesn't completely mask a creature's presence. Invisibility doesn't suppress the sound of footsteps or the smell of nervous sweat. The invisible condition grants no benefits when sneaking past a monster while within range of its non-sight-based senses, like keen sense or tremor sense, assuming the monster has it. In addition to the languages available to PCs, monsters may have one of the following unique languages: machine speech, languages of clicks that's difficult for any other creature to understand, other than constructs to understand, void speech, a language of the corrupt realms beyond mortal world, often used in malign magic. Telepathy. Okay, challenge rating. Using challenge rating. Oh, yeah, it looks like that. Okay, here it is. Monster point, experience points by challenge rating. That looks like exactly the same chart. So, yeah, looks like challenge rating got experience points by challenge rating got put in there twice. So, PC level, suitable monster challenge ratings. Go easy at first level. PCs at first level are much more vulnerable than any other level in the game. Be careful with the monsters you choose to throw at first level PCs. Avoid running monsters higher than CR 1/4 and run fewer monsters and when there are fewer PCs. And run fewer monsters than there are PCs. Monsters of CR higher than one half often inflict enough damage to drop or even kill a first level PC in a single turn. Be nice at first level. You have the whole rest of the adventuring life to bring the pain. Zero Theory says it's the AC bonus because it's useful to class, while nearly any other stat could have a dump stat. Dex really hurts. Yes. Yeah, any class could have a dump stat. Dex really hurts. Yeah, sounds like exactly. What would... Oh, machine speech, that's really cool. But of course, why wouldn't you have binary bocce as one of your available languages so you can talk to moisture evaporators? they've got, they've got the clockwork constructs and things like that in Midgard. So I guess that's something that, some type of realm that they got to deal with. So it says traits. Traits are a monster's special characteristics that are likely to be relevant in combat. In a stat block, they appear after a monster's CR, but before any actions. A new trait that requires explanation is Doom. Powerful boss monsters have one or more Doom points. During combat, a GM can spend 1 Doom point to give a monster advantage on a single attack or force a PC to re-roll a save with disadvantage. Some monsters have additional ways to spend Doom points detailed in their individual stat blocks. Okay, Doom points. I don't know if I remember. Did we talk? I'm just having trouble remembering what was already said in Kobold's press stuff. I don't remember if we've encountered Doom points or not. I know we've encountered Doom points before, but that could have been other systems. Because, like, the Blood in Doom was using Doom points for something. So, Doom points. Spend 1 Doom point to give a monster advantage on a single attack or force a PC to roll a save with disadvantage. Uh-oh, okay. Monster actions. Optional rule gaining Doom points. This is variant rule random damage. Okay, optional rule gaining Doom points. To increase the difficulty of combat encounters, consider escalating Doom during the fight. When a PC rolls a natural 1 in combat, the leader or boss monster gains 1 Doom point. Any unspent Doom points gained this way are lost when the combat ends. Multi-attack, ammunition. A monster generally carries enough ammunition to make its ranged attacks. A monster generally has 2d4 pieces of ammunition for a thrown weapon attack and 2d10 pieces of ammunition for projectile weapons such as bows or crossbows. Variant rule, random damage. If the GM prefers to roll dice for damage, so we're generally not rolling dice for damage. So like animated armor here, actions. Yeah. So right here, so actions for this animated armor: slam, melee weapon attack, +6 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 target, hit, 7 bludgeoning damage. So that does not have a damage roll there. It just has standard flat damage. So now variant rule, random damage. If the GM prefers to roll dice for damage, use the table below to determine which dice apply to your monster's attacks. Smaller creatures do slightly less damage, and huge or gigantic ones do slightly more when using this rule. So damage, tiny, small, medium, or large. Huge or gigantuan. Well, that's interesting. Didn't we talk about that in some other morning grind? Because you've seen, like, here's the dice damage, and then here's the parentheses, and here's just what you could use. So I've seen that. But it's interesting here, they're just completely taking out the DM rolling for damage. Special rules, restrictions, bonus actions, reactions, limited usage, equipment. Legendary creatures. Legendary creatures can do things that ordinary creatures can't. Lair actions. Layers. A legendary creature might have a section describing its lair, and the special effects it can create while there, either by active will or simply by being present. Such a section applies only to legendary creatures that spends a great deal of time in its lair. So we've got special lair actions. So, all right. So then most of this is just different kinds of all of the monsters for you to actually use. So let's just take a look at a couple of them. Some of the classics and just see what's changed. So Bugbear, for instance. So this is just like bullies. So they prefer to hunt and battle alone. So this isn't stat stuff. This is telling you how to role play them. Sneaky combatants, owing to their cowardice, bugbears try to attack the element with the element of surprise and are deadly against surprised enemies. Wait for cover. They wait for cover of darkness or choose the locations where they can hide. If the conditions are right, they coerce their subordinates to create a distraction for them. So a bugbear is medium humanoid goblinoid. 14 armor class, 36 hit points. Yeah, bugbears always have a lot of hit points. Speed 30, stealth 16. So we have our stealth information right here. Senses, night vision 60 feet, perception 10. Languages, common goblin. CR1. So here is PB +2. So yes, it does not have like a 4,000 proficiency bonus. Its stats, brutal. The bugbear deals 1 additional die of damage when it hits with a melee weapon, including the attack. So how do we know then if we're not rolling for damage, a bugbear deals 1 additional die of damage when it hits with a melee attack? So if it's attacking with a, this is included in the attack. So that's why spiked club, +5 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 target per hit, 12 piercing damage. A surprise target takes an extra 4 piercing damage and must succeed on a DC 13 con save or be stunned until the end of its next turn. They also have javelins, melee or ranged weapon attack, +5 to hit, reach 10 feet or range 30 to 120, 1 target, 10 piercing damage in melee or 5 piercing damage at range. So we also have surprise attack. If the bugbear hits a surprised creature with an attack during the first round of combat, the target takes an extra 7 damage from the attack. Okay, so bugbears can be brutal. Well, I think I like that stat block better than just the 5th edition write-up. What do you think? So this is some 5th edition stuff. So in 3.5 and 3.5, different weapons have different damage values when used by small, medium, and large, etc. I don't remember that. I do remember in AD&D, it was like whether you're using the weapon against small or medium. Sound like bugbears could also be called smart. Go for the element of surprise. Yeah, it does sound that way. So, just as for the sake of comparison, like, so what's our 5th edition bugbear? Like, okay, so I mean, like I said, that sounds like a better write-up. Is this really the monster manual? Okay. I guess it's been a while since I've opened it. Well, are these organized in some strange way? Oh, 33, page 33. Here it is. Okay, so over here it tells us we do have the difference between Bugbear and Bugbear Chief. Oh, no, yeah, we got Bugbear Champion over here too. Bugbear Champion has Doom. The Bugbear Champion has 1 Doom point, which can expend to use the standard Doom options or the Clobber reaction. Clobber reaction requires 1 Doom. The Bugbear Chief can spend 1 Doom point to turn a missed attack into a hit on a regular hit or a regular hit into a critical hit. Bugbears, it says over here, just in general 5th edition, we've got information about goblinoids. We've got information about followers of Herdgrek. That's who they worship. So it says venal ambushers. Despite their intimidating builds, bugbears move with surprising stealth. They are fond of setting ambushes and flee when outmatched. They are dependable mercenaries as long as they are supplied with food, drink, and treasure, but a bugbear forgets any bond when its life is on the line. A wounded member of a bugbear band might be left behind to help the rest of the band escape. Otherwise, the bugbear might help pursuers track down its former companions, if doing so saves its life. So there is no tag here for evil. Okay, I don't see them tagged evil. Armor class 16, so they get a little bit less armor class, but more hit points. Brute in 5e, a melee weapon deals 1 extra die of damage when the bugbear hits with it, included in the attack. So that's very much the same. Surprise attack. So surprise attack is the same. It has a morning star and a javelin. So it's very similar, as it turns out. I mean, there's some adjustments for like, okay, more hit points over here, or more armor class over here. But that's pretty similar. Doom, there wasn't a whole lot on Doom. It said, powerful boss monsters have 1 or more points of Doom. During combat, a GM can spend 1 Doom point to give a monster advantage on a single attack or force a PC to roll a save with disadvantage. Some monsters have additional ways to spend doom points as detailed in the individual stat blocks. So that was the way that the brute bugbear champion can spend his doom point. So I guess there are parts of this that are cleaned up. I mean, it seems like everybody's saying, okay, well, now hold on, we could clean up 5th edition because it's been around for a while, and that's inevitable, right? So WotC had that idea. Kobold Press had this idea, and apparently has had this idea before the OGL debacle. They just took advantage of the OGL debacle to start releasing it and talking about it. Black Dragon. Let's look at, we got just basically Orc in here. Let's just look and see what's going on with Orc. Here's Gelatinous Cube. Large Ooze, Armor Class 6. Hit points 110. Transparent. Pseudopod, attack, or engulf. The cube moves up to its speed. When doing so, it can enter a large or small creature's space. When a cube enters the creature's space, the creature must make a DC 13 dex save. On a success, the creature can choose to be pushed back 5 feet or to be inside the cube. A creature that chooses not to be pushed suffers the consequences of a failed save. On a failed save, the cube enters the creature's space. The creature takes 10 acid damage and is engulfed. The engulfed creature can't breathe, is restrained, and takes 21 acid damage at the start of each of the cube's turns. When the cube moves, the engulfed creature moves with it. An engulfed creature can try to escape by an action to make a DC 13 strength check. On a success, the creature escapes and enters the space of its choice within 5 feet of the cube. Can't somebody else cut the creature out of there? Oh, here's Goblin. Okay, so this Goblin's pretty classic here. Giants. I don't even the what I'm looking at in this monster manual. I guess the amount of times I've actually opened this monster manual must actually be pretty small because I typically play. Goblins. So how does this? So Goblin has cunning over strength. Over here, natural spies, traps, and thievery. It's AC 15 with leather armor and a shield, 9 hit points. Has a scimitar, +5, 5 slashing damage, and a short bow. The Goblin can take the disengage or hide actions, I guess as bonus actions. When a Goblin is hit or missed by an attack, they can stand up from being prone or move up to 10 feet without provoking an attack of opportunity. Nimble escape. Yep, so that's the same over here. Nimble escape, scimitar, short bow. Nimble escape. I don't see fanatic reflexes or frenetic reflexes. What are we thinking? Good morning, James. Oh yeah, so you're right. So okay, so sorry about that. So is Doom a consumable resource or does it recharge every round? It doesn't sound like it recharges. It said the optional way to do that was to give a Doom point that was just for the encounter when the PCs roll a 1. Yeah, Sable Phoenix says lots of people had this idea before the OGL debacle. Yeah, it's just that the hornet's nest was kicked. Yeah, I agree. Now we've got this plethora of 5e modifications. 5e adjustments. Is there anything else we specifically need to look at? I'll scroll down and make sure there's nothing else in here. But looks like this playtest is basically giving you all of the bestiary. Skeleton, pretty classic here. I guess I scrolled past Orc and didn't notice. AC 13, hit points 19. CR 1/4. When a skeleton remains motionless, it's completely silent. Counterattack, 15 hit points or fewer. When a skeleton is hit by an attack, it can make a single short sword or short bow attack. I guess that's when it has 15 hit points or fewer? Maybe? Apocalyptic fungus? A humanoid that ingests food or water contaminated with the spores of an apocalyptic fungus, breathes in the spores, or is bitten by an infected creature must succeed a DC 12 con save or become infected. An infected target can't regain hit points. When it finishes a long rest, it must succeed on a DC 15 con save or gain 2 levels of exhaustion. When the infected target reaches the 6th level of exhaustion, it does not die, but instead becomes a skull bloom. At that point, no mundane or magical healing can return the creature to its former state. Pre-transformation, the fungal infection can only be used by a lesser restoration spell. If a humanoid infected by apocalyptic fungal spores is killed, it rises 1 hour later as a spore-borne skull bloom. Spore-borne bloat blossom. Okay. Trolls, wargs, zombies. So it does look like we have all the classics. NPCs, statistics for various humanoids. Bandit, captain, cultist, commoner, bandit. So what is common? Is this like is this like a normal man? Medium humanoid, any lineage, armor class 10, hit point 6, speed 30, stealth 10, perception 10, with a club, 2 points of bludgeoning damage. So normal man, 2 points of bludgeoning damage. Bandit has a scimitar for 5. Cultist, sacrificial dagger. On a critical hit, the dagger deals 9 piercing damage, otherwise 3 piercing damage. Cult fanatic. Knight. Knight has an armor class of 18, 52 hit points, speed 30, stealth 7, 10 without heavy armor on. Brave, the knight has advantage on saves against being frightened. Empowering presence, a non-hostile creature within 20 feet that can see or hear the knight gains a +2 attack rolls to saves while the knight isn't incapacitated. They do have a druid over here as well. Druid NPC. The knight makes 2 great sword attacks. +5 to hit, +5 hit, 1 target. Hits 10 slashing damage. On a critical hit, the attack deals 30 slashing damage. Well, the knight has a heavy crossbow as well. +2 to hit, 5 piercing damage. Protective stance. Until the start of the knight's next turn, creatures have disadvantage on attack rolls against the knight's allies within 5 feet of the knight. Overpower. The knight can attempt to grapple or shove a large or smaller creature. Guard, spy, mage. I guess that gives it some spells. Yeah. Thug, veteran. That's a nice selection of NPCs. That's a pretty nice selection of NPCs to also have. All right. Well, I guess that's it. So, okay. I was going to ask, so what does everybody think? Yeah, I mean, I think so. If you have commentary, we're still in the commentary period as far as to submit stuff to Kobold Press if you're going to be using it. Yeah, it's true. Well, it's different. Then Black Flag here seems to be far from the best of them. I'm not sure how I would be able to judge. I mean, I guess I would really have to get back to like the advanced 5e and figure out which one's better. But also whatever they're changing up for one D&D. I mean, I wonder how different they are. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not particularly excited about it either. As far as something, yeah, it excited me when it was first announced because I thought it was going to be something different than 5e. Now, not so much. I'm sure people will play it a lot. It sounds like it has a large group of people who are interested in a revision to 5e that's supported by a major publisher that is not WotC. So I think this probably fits that. And it does support their world. So if you're heavy into their world and you have a bunch of their material and you don't want to be part of WotC anymore, then I guess this does that. So I guess it will get played. I guess it will get played quite a bit. But if I were picking something up if I were just starting something from the ground up, I don't think I would play 5e or any of its variants because there's just too many other things out there to try. Zero Theory says, for me personally, I'm more feeling OSR games than mega monolithic games like 5e or 5e or their spins. Yeah, I have been enjoying a lot of the OSR stuff that we've been looking at. Oh, yeah. Well, there's Daggerheart. Right, yes. We got to figure out what's going on with Daggerheart. You're right. It does have to compete with Daggerheart. I forgot about that. So I guess we will follow that. And then also, the MCDM system. We're experiencing great fragmentation in the gaming world right now. 1D&D is nothing but 5.5e. Hopefully Kobold Press can show us a better tabletop RPG. Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I guess I really won't know much about what 1D&D is because I guess I won't be following. All right. Well, let's we did go for almost an hour. Okay. Well, I've got to get out of here because I'm going to go have lunch with family. I'm going to go shower and then hop in the car and then go have a family lunch. Maybe even go see a nephew play soccer this afternoon. So I'll be doing that. I will see everybody tomorrow. We might look at Knave 2nd Edition tomorrow then. I'll probably be back at full strength tomorrow morning. So, yeah. All right. Everybody, have a good day. Enjoy yourself. Be productive. Be creative. And I will see you in the morning. Later.